Good morning. This is a flow yoga class. The theme is stability, and we are going to explore that through our vinyasas and through the first chakra, which is Muladhara. And I'll just begin standing here. Um, and you can stand, and we're going to start moving first off. So we're just going to move our arms just gently, and we can move our legs, we can bend one knee, we can move our hip out. We're just going to really feel at the very beginning that we can flow with the entirety of our body in just an improvised movement, nothing that is too much of a strain. Uh, Good. All right. And while we're doing this, let's think about our kidneys are just behind our back, and we can kind of slap gently our kidneys, and we can feel our fingertips on our body, and we can move from here into tapping, which is a practice you can make beak-like um, finger shapes, and just tap here. And you can have a wide leg stance if you like here, tapping your chest, tapping your back of your neck, up your head, just awakening everything. This is apparently good for various glandular systems. You can tap underneath your arms. You can tap your shoulders and down your arms and up underneath. Very nice. All right, now shake that out. And we're just going to dangle here or do a forward fold. And we're preparing ourselves for a class that explores vinyasa um, and takes it apart a little bit. Since the vinyasa uh, movements themselves are what allow us to call this a vinyasa yoga flow class. So we're just dangling. You might have blocks here if it's too much of a strain. And of course, bend your knees. You should feel no strain in your lower back. And you could pedal out your feet a little here, just stretching your hamstring slightly. And we're going to simply open our arms up and look up. And now we're going to come down again, drawing our feet together, flowing over our legs. We're going to come up into halfway lift, inhaling, and we're going to exhale down. We're going to lift our toes up and stretch our toes out to give us a real sense of the base of our grounding. We can draw the arches of our feet up, and so our feet are kind of like a plunger, just locked onto our mat here. Good. Now let's take the right leg back and draw that knee down and lift up and look up. And then we're going to come down into chaturanga. So first, into plank, and then into chaturanga or knees, chest, chin. And we're just going to rock back and forth on our toes so that we're stretching our toes out and also giving ourselves a moment here to develop strength in our arms. If you are a wild weightlifter or something, you might try this, which is intended to develop your strength. And otherwise, you can just stay here, or you could come down to your knees. And here we are. And now we're going to come down either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. And then we'll come up. And since we're at the beginning of class, we'll just have a low back bend here. Inhaling. And then exhaling into our downward dog. Now, this is a very loose downward dog because we haven't really done those spinal mobility loosening poses. So you can just move your shoulders, your spine, and bend your knees. This is a kind of wiggling downward dog. And you're just breathing into our back body and into our front body, since both are available to us in here. Good. And let's lift that. You can lift your right leg up and point your toes. And here, and now we can point our heel and our toes, heel and toes. Good. And we'll lift our knee up and drop our foot to our buttock. Good. And then we'll lift that leg up again, draw it forward towards the center, and then draw it back. Draw it forward to one side and then to the other. And then we're going to bring that foot forward, drop our knee, and just come up again. And look up. Good. All right. So stability. Stability, as in standing fast through all kinds of weather, grounded and resilient, a rooting tree. And here, we're really rooting with our foot, with the entirety of the front lower shin, and we're centering ourselves. So we're conscious of the fact that whenever we're moving in our yoga practice, we are really rooting ourselves, and at the same time we're lifting up. So we'll lift our arms up and look up, and there are always these oppositional directions. Good. We're going to come back. We're going to loosen up our hamstrings here. We're going to bend towards that foot. You can draw that foot back, and then we're going to press forward here. And here we are lengthening our hip flexor on the opposite leg. And you can, if you like, lift up that back knee, stretch the foot out, the heel out, and or you can keep the knee down. So we're going to draw our hands onto the inside of that front foot, and we can draw the back thigh up potentially, and just really stretch here. So this is very good for your hamstrings and for your hip flexors. It's very good for your lower back. And we're going to draw our arms down to our elbows potentially, or you could be up on blocks here, and you could put your elbows on blocks. So you do you. And then we're going to put our foot down again. We're going to come back. We're just limbering up here, and we'll go forward again. Very good. All right. Now let's just come back again one more time here, and let's do the other side, just so we are symmetrical at the beginning of our class. So we will extend the other leg out, toes up, and we're going to draw those toes back and extend our belly and our chest towards that leg, our head towards our toes. And now we're going to come forward. And here we are extending this lovely hip flexor and back again. Good. All right. One more time. And back one more time. And then we're putting our hands down in the same line as your front foot. And if you like, you can just stay here with the knee on the ground and stretch out your hip flexor here. Or you could plant your toes, press back through your heel, and stretch down. And once again, you could have blocks here. So you could come down, if you like, on your elbows on your blocks, or you could come down onto the mat, depending on what's plausible. And you don't want to overstretch, but you want to imagine that you are challenging yourself enough to feel a little uncomfortable. And you can come up, if you like, onto your straight legs and straighten up that front leg. And now we're going to come down again and come back onto our knees. Now, if we're thinking about stability and we're thinking about how to root our vinyasa in a stable body, we want to think about our toes, and we're going to do toe squats. Maybe very uncomfortable. You might not like it, but it's good for you. It's like liver when you're a child. All right, so we're sitting on our toes, and your baby toe, you can use your fingers to fix them. And we're just going to sit back here. And we're going to do some arm movements here that will distract us from our toes. Anytime the toes are too much, just come forward, and you could slap your toes on the ground and you could come back. Or you can just stay here. We're just going to stay for a moment, and we're going to take our arms, stretch them up, sort of behind our ears, and really stretch up. Really feel that we can do a little bit of a back bend here over top of our toes. And you can also move your hands in circles behind your head, as far behind as you can. This is a very good shoulder opener. We often do shoulder opening movements at the beginning of our class when we're in tabletop. So this is another way of thinking about opening our shoulders. Good. Now let's just stretch forward into tabletop, and we'll slap our feet. All right, good. Now let's just plant our hands. Once again, get that sense of real stability. We can imagine our hands are suction cups. We can feel especially like the index finger pressing down, our thumbs, all of our fingers. And we're just going to move our hips around in circles in one direction and then in the other. So stability as steadfast, as unshakable. Stability is firmness of resolve. The movement is muscular. Stability as resolve. Stability is steadfastness that monitors and regulates your health. Good. All right. And let's lift our arm up and then come down and through, exhaling. And then inhaling up and then exhaling. And inhaling up and exhaling. Good. Now we're just going to leave our shoulder on the ground, and the other arm you can lift up, and you can keep it pointing up, or you can bend the elbow and put the back of your hand on the base of your spine, your sacrum, or you can draw that over around your waist, binding you. And either way, you want to lift that shoulder up so that you are twisting here. This is a fantastic movement that allows us to really enhance our spinal mobility and our open shoulders. And we're just breathing here, inhaling and exhaling. Good. Let's put our hand down, and let's try the other hand. So we're inhaling up and exhaling down. And inhaling up and exhaling down. And inhaling up. And this time we're going to exhale and leave that arm on the ground. Lift the other arm up and bend at the elbow. Draw it to the sacrum or around the waist in a bind, and then lift that shoulder up into a deeper twist here. Very nice. Inhaling and exhaling. You're in a bit of a constricted space, but we can still breathe, especially into that one side. Good. Let's put that hand down And let's come up into our bird dog, which is a really great balancing pose. So instead of having our four poster footing, we have two, an opposite hand and foot, and we're pressing out through the heel. Our toes are pointing down. We're pressing out through down through the hand, and we're pressing out through the fingertips. So we have a lovely diagonal stretch here. Good. And now let's put that hand down and let's just keep that leg up and then rotate it out. You can either put the toes on the ground or you can keep it up. So we are strengthening. Oof. And we are inviting hip mobility here. Good. Let's put that knee down. And once again, you can keep your toe on the ground if you like doing that. You don't have to lift up the other way. So we're going to take a moment in bird dog to lift up the opposite hand and foot, grounding through that hand, feeling our breath moving right into the earth. Imagining we're inhaling and we're exhaling, and the breath is moving into the earth. The energy is moving from our raised fingertips to our raised heel. And now we're going to put that hand down, and you can either put the toe on the ground or you can move your leg back and forth here. We're heating up. We're getting strong. Good. Let's put our knee down. We're going to come back into a brief child's pose. And here, once again, we're going to use our moment of rest as an opportunity to feel the grounding of our forehead, of our hands, of our lower legs, and at the tops of our feet. And now we're going to walk our hands over towards the right, and we're stretching the left hand up, and we're stretching the left hip back. So it's a deep stretch here. And we're breathing, inhaling and exhaling, and we're feeling the side body, the left side body expand here. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. All right, now let's go over to the other side and stretch out the other hand and diagonally stretch out that back hip. So we're stretching, in this case, the right hand up and the right hip back. And we're breathing into the right side body. Very good. Now let's just come back into the center. We'll stretch our hands up and our hips back. And just really feel the opening in your back body to breathe into your back body. Good. Now let's come back and move into a downward dog. Now we can go slowly into this downward dog with bent knees. And once again, we can stretch our toes by lifting our toes up, spreading them as we put them on the ground. And then having bent knees, we're pressing our behind our hips back and really feeling that we are like runners, ready to do a 100-yard dash here. And now we're going to lift our hips up, lower our feet, and press into our hands and really feel that we can pedal out our our downward dog here. Preparing for our downward dogs where we're in motion, but we have the flexibility and the strength to really make it matter. Good. And here we're going to take a few breaths in downward dog. And you can, if you like, tilt your pelvis slightly, do a slight pelvic tilt, and you'll find your heels will go down a little bit further, potentially. And we're breathing here into our back. Good. Now let's lift our right leg up and bring it forward and into a warrior one. Oops. And I'm very bad at this, so I have a prop here to hold me up. So I can find my way, but it takes me a moment. Good. And let's lift up, opening out. And once again, lifting up and opening out. Good. And if you like, you can push yourself up and come back into a pyramid shape. And our hips are facing the short end of the mat. And we're just going to tilt over here into a pyramid and feel the strength of this pose. And you can also have blocks here if you like, or you can just come forward and fold over in pyramid. And here we have a shape that allows us to feel the strength of our lower body and the release of our upper body. Because you really are letting your head dangle here, and you are drawing that front hip back. You could put your thumb in the hip crease and draw it back. And you can draw the thighs back, both of the thighs. Good. Now here, if you like, if you have a block here, you could use the block, or you could put your hand on the ground. We're just going to turn into a reverse triangle. And we're breathing here. So these are rigorous poses. And we're pressing into the outer edge of the back heel. And in doing that, it allows us to really straighten that back leg. And we are really stretching here. Oh, feeling the energy coming from the earth, shooting right up through the upper hand. Good. And you can look up at the upper hand depending on your neck. Very good. All right. Now let's just windmill ourselves around. This is a tricky movement. So here we are. We're windmilled around into triangle pose. And we're going to tilt back and come down into triangle. Very nice. Here you want to expand that space between your lower ribs and your hips on both sides. So you'll need to reach out here. And you may feel you want to go all the way down, but you want to maintain some space there. Then you can look up. Very nice. And let's lift up. Inhaling, bending that front knee. And catching your breath. Now, I'm just going to stretch this arm out into an extended side angle. You could have blocks here. You could put your hands on the ground, or you could just put your lower arm on your thigh and stretch out on the diagonal. And here you want to have the wide stance so that you can descend while you're in this pose. pressing through that back thigh, the outer edge of the foot. And you can look up at your hand if you like. Very nice. Now we're going to do this little dancing warrior here. So we're going to press into the front knee and come back with the bent leg. Slide your arm down the side seam and look up. And we're going to do the same thing on the once more. And back again. So we're inhaling and exhaling as we come forward. And then inhaling. And then exhaling as we come forward. And once again, inhaling and then exhaling as we come forward. And now we're going to push into that front foot, straighten those legs, and put your hands on your hip creases. And we're just going to come forward. Now I will show you with a couple of blocks here so that you are more comfortable with this if you have tighter hamstrings. So we're putting our hands in our hip creases, and we're lifting up over our hands and extending the crown of our head towards the front of the room. And you can have your hands here if you like, or here, or you could have them on the ground. You do you. If you have blocks, you can stretch them out on the floor. And your shoulders and are basically by your ears. And now we're going to walk towards the right leg. And you can have your blocks walking this way or your hands. You could hold on to, potentially, you could have your hands on your blocks, or you could hold on to your ankle, bend your elbows, and draw yourself closer to your leg. And now we're going to come back again and hold on to your ankles, your ankle singular, and then draw yourself forward. And this is quite a stretch here. So you want to modify it if it's too much. And now we're going to come back again, stretching our arms forward as much as we can, and feeling really that we're kind of lifting our sit bones up. And if you like, you could bend your knees here slightly, and then lift your sit bones up, lift your hips up, and then straighten your legs. Good. Now let's walk our hands back right underneath our shoulders. And if you can walk them further back. Once again, you could have your hands on blocks here. And we'll bringing the palms of our hands, basically the fingers are facing forward, and they are the palms of our hands are just between our feet potentially. And we have our elbows bent, and we are feeling as though we might be able to drop our head to the ground. So in another life, I would just drop my head to the ground and be in a tripod pose, and then you lift your legs up into a tripod headstand. Good. So we're doing an inversion here, and this is very good for us to practice. Our head's below our heart, and we are just settling into feeling what it means to be grounded upside down. And you could lift your toes up and feel that the arches of your feet are rising up, and then you can spread your toes and imagine that as a tree, you're rooting ever more deeply into the ground and towards each other, because trees, of course, have groves of trees and communities that communicate through those filaments that move underground. Good. All right. So let's stretch our arms right underneath our shoulders. And if you like, you can put your hands on your hips and just rotate up. And then we'll wiggling our feet in again. Good. So let's come to the front of our mat. We'll do a vinyasa and we will look up and exhale down. And then draw ourselves up into a halfway lift, inhaling, and then exhaling down. Putting our hands down, our left leg is coming back, and we'll drop our knee down here, and we will look up. Good. And then framing the front foot back into our plank here, coming down however you like, and then back again into downward dog. Very nice. And let's lift that other leg up and bring it forward, dropping that knee and simply rising up into pyramid. And here we're coming up from the underneath. So once again, you could have your blocks here, or you could have your hands on the ground. And in this pyramid pose, we're once again remembering to draw both thighs back, rotate that back thigh around, and feel the opening in your hamstrings here. If you have pain in the top of your hamstring where the tendons are, just bend your knees and give yourself a little bit of a rest here. Very nice. And now we're going to go into that reverse triangle. And once again, if it's too much, you can, of course, have a block on the inside of your foot and press down on the block and then twist towards you, the back wall, and lifting up and feeling that front hip is drawing back and you breathing into your entire chest and the back body. Good. And now we're just going to rotate around in a windmill and come up, hopefully. All right, here we go. Inhale, exhale, and then inhale, rotating around and coming up. Very good. All right. So we're in this pose. We're in a kind of shorter pose in pyramid. So we'll widen our legs out here, and we'll just go into a triangle. And here, once again, shifting the hips back, stretching out, drawing down, and looking up. Very nice. And feeling once again that energy moving between your tips of your fingers and your feet. Good. Let's come up and just bend back here, drawing that arm over and this down with your straight legs. Good. Now let's come back into warrior two. And here, I'll just invite you, as we're getting into warrior two, just to go down, 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 so we can have some movement in our standing poses. And it will just give you a sense of where you are in the pose and where you might be moving towards with your practice. Good. All right, so let's lift our arms up, look at the front, and just feel, once again, we're drawing this thigh back. We're rotating this around, making sure that our knee is over the middle toes. Very good. And now we're going to do a little bit of dancing warrior here. So we're going to draw our hand down, lift up, look up, inhaling. And then we're going to exhale over here, looking up. And we'll inhale and come back again. And exhale, looking up. And inhale. So you find your own tempo and do what you will. You can, of course, be down here on a block or the floor, and you can find your own rhythm and your own breath, moving in your own time. Setting your breath as you go. All right. Very nice. And we'll just come back. We'll straighten our legs up and we'll move back into with tilting over once again, just briefly, with a straight back, feeling our sit bones moving up. And now we're just going to come back again. And we will move into our back into our mat, standing in mountain pose. All right. So you can take a drink if you like. Let's do just a few vinyasas, one after the other, before we move onto the ground. So here we go. Lifting up, we're looking up and exhaling forward, lifting up, halfway lift, inhaling, exhaling down. Then bringing our right leg back and then to the left. And then we'll just stay here for a moment. You can do push-ups if you like. I like to put my hands out to the outer edge of the mat to do my push-ups here. Or you can just stay where you are. And then I'm bringing my hands back and coming down into chaturanga, up into an upward dog. Very nice. And now we're going to stretch back into downward dog. 2 breaths here, inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. So we'll lift our left leg up and bring it forward. And let's lift that back leg up and come up into our warrior one, because we did it on the other side, but not on this side. Good. And we'll just look up. And you can bend your knee down and come down and then come up, feeling the challenge of stability and how important it is for us to challenge ourselves in developing resilience. You fall down, you just get right back up. Very nice. And let's put our hands down again and draw that back foot forward and do a dangle, breathing into our lower back. And you can wiggle here and let your whole body relax and fall over your legs. Good. And now let's lift up, inhaling and exhaling down. All right. Let's try it one more time. Inhaling, look up, exhale. Let's take the left leg back. You can drop the knee and look up. Frame the front foot back into chaturanga. We'll stay here for a moment. You can do some push-ups if you like, or some of those moving of the hands, or you can just stay in place. Very nice. All right. And now you can come down and come back into an upward dog. And let's really stay here a moment. Breathing into your chest, feeling your chest move through the frame of your arms. And now we'll turn our toes under and come back into downward dog. And breathing. Feeling the stability of this pose. We have 4 points of contact with the floor. It's a safe place for us in yoga. Good. All right. And let's draw that left leg back. Bring it forward into pigeon. So we have our front leg on the diagonal. Our back leg, we're moving back. We're pressing our hands into the ground and feeling ourselves move up. Now, if this is uncomfortable for you, you could put a block under your back hip. And if it's comfortable and you don't have any pain in your knee, you can come down onto your front leg and just rest. Or you could come down onto a block here. Good. All right. So let's come back up into this upright pigeon and feel a real sense of opening in the chest and an opening in your hip. Good. All right. So let's put the back toes, turn them under, draw that leg back and point up, and then put it down. We're back into downward dog. And we're going to lift the other leg up, point the toe, draw it forward into pigeon so that it's on the diagonal. Your toes are pointed. And you're drawing that top thigh back, and you're in an upright pigeon. And once again, you could have blocks here so that you are up here or down here, wherever is comfortable for you. And you can put a block behind your hip if it's too much. Good. And now if you're up for it, you can stay here. This is a very good pose for you. Or you could come down to put your forearms on blocks. Or you could come all the way down onto your forearms. Or you could put your forehead on the floor, depending on your flexibility. Once again, we're breathing into our back body and really feeling our ribs expand like an accordion. And now we're coming back and pressing into the ground and turning our back toes under, lifting that foot up, and then putting it down into downward dog. One more time. Good. And now let's just come down onto our knees and roll back onto our hips. So we're in a seated position, and we'll do a little twist just at the end of the class. So I'll take my right leg into the outer edge of the left thigh. Then I'll bend that other knee, or you could leave it straight out, depending on what feels good for you. And we'll draw it back, pressing this hand, the fingers into the ground, lifting up, and then turning from the waist towards that raised knee. And here you could hold on to your knee. You could use a straight arm, or you could put your arm in a stop sign and catch your thigh here. And as you're moving around, you're pressing into that front foot, grounding yourself with your both hips and with both sit bones and your front foot. And we're pressing into the back of the back hand, lifting up and around. And we'll inhale and we'll exhale. As we exhale, we might turn a bit more. And as we inhale, we might rise up a little. Good. Now let's just come around. Press, do a little reverse, pressing into the ground with our fingertips and lifting up and breathing. All right, let's stretch our legs out here and let's just shake them out a little. We've done a lot of work with our legs today and move our feet back and forth in our hip sockets. Very good. So let's lift the other leg up on the outer edge of that opposite thigh. You could draw this leg in or leave it extended and make sure both sit bones are on the ground. This is planted firmly, lifting your arm up and twisting up and around from the waist. And then you can clasp your thigh, your knees, your knee, or use your arm as a lever and moving up and around, inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. And then coming around again and stretching our legs out. Very good. All right. So we're going to move on to our backs and work on a few movements here. I'm sorry, I should have asked you to get a belt. So if we can just take a break and you can find your belt, if it's nearby. It's not absolutely necessary, but it's a helpful thing. We're going to just open ourselves up a little bit. Being on our back, you could have your block nearby as well. I'm going to just bend our right knee. Well, bend both knees and put your feet on the ground. Then bend your right knee up. Put your strap around your toe mound and stretch it up. Now you can leave the other knee raised up depending on your hip mobility, etc. And we're just going to, I'm going to stretch that bottom leg out and stretch out through the heel. And I'm stretching my foot up towards the ceiling. And I'm just going to feel as though it's at 90 degrees here. So I'm stretching out through both heels. And now I'm going to draw that leg towards me slightly, however much I can manage. And you don't want to overstretch your tendons at the base of your hamstring, but this is a very nice stretching movement. And because we're supine and on our back, gravity is helping us. It's taking some of the pressure off of us. So, you just find a place that's comfortable for you, that's a little bit more than you had imagined, maybe. No, there should be no pain once again. Just you might feel a little uncomfortable. So you can move back and forth in that little place of discomfort. And now let's open that leg out, holding the strap with the same arm as foot. And if you are up for it, you could hold your toe or you could hold the strap. So you decide what's good for you. And opening that leg out, and you have the other arm extended out in the other direction. And we're looking at that other hand. And you are pressing out through both heels. Very nice. All right, so let's lift that up, whether you're holding your toe or the strap, and put the strap in the opposite hand, stretch the other arm out, look at the other arm as you are drawing that leg over. any amount. So you decide what you want to do. And you make sure that you are comfortable with your own choices. And you really are stretching out through both heels, though. That's this is a kind of lovely twist here. And it's quite extreme. It's a very, very demanding twist. All right, so let's lift that leg up. And then we'll just bend the knee, draw it in towards your chest, and take the strap off. Put both feet on the ground again. Find your center. You can lift your hips up a couple of times. Feel the grounding of your back body. And stretch the other leg out on the ground or leave it up. Put the strap around that toe mound. And just find 90 degrees. So I tend to come too far forward, but if 90 degrees is actually, it feels like my foot is far away. All right, we're pressing out through both heels. Very nice. Now let's see if we can draw that towards you, any amount. It could be just a tiny bit or not at all. Or you could draw it. You can play with it a little, nothing too extreme. Just seeing, listening to your body. What is it telling you? Go here, don't go there. And you'll find as you breathe and stay here in this place that your body will find all kinds of possibilities. Good. All right, so let's just, once again, we'll hold on to the strap in the same hand as foot. And we'll, of course, and then we'll open out. Now, we are not symmetrical, so I can hold the toe on the other side, but this side, I really can't do it very easily at all. So you just find your own asymmetrical pleasure in this pose and look at the opposite hand. So it's a little bit of a neck movement here. Very nice. We're just holding the pose just long enough for the fascia to release here. It takes about 90 seconds. And we're breathing here. If you find that you're tilting over, you could put the opposite hand on your hip to keep both hips on the ground. And now we're going to lift that up, exchange hands, opening out to the other side. And you can just keep that both hips on the ground for a moment, and then you can lift that hip up and roll over towards the other side. And then looking at the opposite hand, stretching both heels out. And we're just holding here. And you'll find that your sensation may increase on one side rather than the other. And we're breathing here. Now we're going to lift that up, take off the strap, bend both knees, draw your knees to your chest, extend your arms out through your knees, hold on to the outside of your feet, lift up into an inverted squat, inverted malasana, and you're in happy baby pose. And you can move here. You could stretch your legs out if you like. You can move around back and forth. You can do what babies do, which is just have fun. Very nice. All right. Let's put our feet on the ground and open out our arms. And we're just going to lift one leg up, cross it over, and then lift your hips up to the side where the foot is not dangling and move to that side, and then drop your knees down. So you're just doing a twist here. And if you like, you can put your hand on your thigh and draw the legs further down and look at the opposite hand. So we're doing a lovely supine twist. We've prepared for this with our seated twist. Half Lord of the Fishes pose. And now we're coming back, putting our feet down, once again, crossing that leg over, shifting the hips to the other side, and drawing down and looking. And we'll come back and find your center again, and you can extend your legs out into Shavasana. Now, if you don't like Shavasana, you could be on your side, you could be on your belly, you could have your legs up the wall, or you could be seated. So here we're going to simply settle in after a fairly demanding practice that has loosened our bones and our muscles, our tendons, our fascia, and settled our mind with our breath. So we're inhaling and exhaling, imagining that we are on a beautiful, mossy riverside. And we're feeling a sense of acceptance, a sense of acceptance of the way you're feeling right in this moment, and a sense of surrender. We're just breathing, letting go. And I'll leave you in silence for a moment or two. The Pema Chodron writes, to be fully alive, fully human, and completely awake is to be continually thrown out of the nest. And since this seems to be true, we're all already thrown out of the nest. We are wise to think through how to find stability and resilience. Stability that is durable and enduring, aging well in place. Stability as constancy, a responsible friend, mother, colleague, mentor, teacher, student. What does stability offer? And what are the inevitable changes that can ensue? And with that, I'll just invite you to feel the breath moving through your body, activating your toes and your fingers, your breath, moving your body. You can stretch your arms and your legs. Feel the release that comes at the end of a good shavasana and an energetic practice. And you can roll onto your side, draw your knees into your chest, roll around, massaging your back. And then moving onto your side, just push yourself up into a seated position in your own time. Well, thank you for joining me today in this class. Sending much love to Angela, wherever she is, and to all the other members of our beautiful yoga collective. I'll put my hands together, or you could put one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly, and feel the energy moving between that grounded space in your belly and that open heart. And we'll inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. The teacher and the student in me thanks the teacher and student in you, and the light in me sees and honors the light in you. Deep bows to all of you. And see you next time.